An anatomy of a PLC program. This is project number 2, part 2. We just put part 1 on the YouTube channel a couple days ago, and we only got part way through it. We're taking up again. Thanks for coming back. Let's do a quick process review. Let's catch up to where we were at when we left off in the last video. This is our project. We have 2 conveyors. We have a workspace, and we're going to feed products in on the feed conveyor. We have 3 photo eyes. That way we can stage or buffer some components. I just use cartons here. We can stage cartons on this conveyor, and then we have 2 gantries with pick and place vertical axes. These are both identical mechanical systems. You've got a horizontal axis and a vertical. The pick and place is vertical. And a product comes in on that conveyor. It's picked off of the feed conveyor and placed onto the workspace. And then when the workspace is done with it, pass, fail, quality control, then the second gantry system comes over, picks it up, and drops it off on the sort conveyor. And then from the sort conveyor, it either passes or fails. That is the whole process. Looking at just the components again, these are the sensors and outputs, or you could say the inputs and the outputs. And in the last video, we lined all these up, explained what we were doing with them. So just a quick review here. We ended the first video before we got to operator control. Going to operator control, these are the 5 rungs of logic that I'm using for operator control. Operator control from the HMI. There's 3 modes, if you want to call it 3. The 2 typical, manual and auto mode, and then cycle run is really a subset of the auto mode. And if you look at the logic for cycle run, you can see there's a cycle stop push button. And if you follow the logic, it's seal-in logic. You toggle or turn on the HMI request manual mode push button. And as long as the auto mode button is not pushed, it turns on the manual mode bit. It seals itself in around that push button. Once you're in the manual mode, in the next rung, you can push the HMI home all push button. And this home all axis will be felt in the output file and will retract the 2 gantries and the 2 pick and place vertical axes. Once they're all 4 retracted, all axes homed, then we can go into the auto mode. But you can't go into the auto mode from the manual mode or any other mode without homing all the axes. We're assuming that if you leave the auto mode, it's because of an emergency or some sort of an issue, and it's on the operator to make sure that the system is set back up properly. In other words, clear out any cartons or components that are in the workstation. You can start from scratch with everything retracted. Once you get in the auto mode, then you can cycle start. Now, not everybody uses a cycle run mode. I use a cycle run mode, and I'm going to do the logic in a way that once you start the cycle, you can stop it without completely resetting the machine. In other words, if something is askewed on the conveyor or on the workstation, you can hit cycle stop. You can intervene, the operator can intervene to straighten it out, and then hit cycle start, and it should take off again. That's pretty typical. So that's the operator control. The operator control, the way I use it, because I don't have any hardware. I don't have conveyors. I don't have a gantry system. And because I'm lazy, or because too many times I've toggled a bit on to simulate a push button. If you look at these rungs of logic, there's a reset. By the way, reset and unlatch are the same thing. Latch, unlatch goes back to the 2-coil latching relay of yesteryear. 1 coil closed the contacts and they were mechanically latched. The other coil releases the mechanical latch and lets it return. In computerese, they typically say set and reset instead. A latch and unlatch instruction has a single true execution, no false execution in the logic. Same thing with set and reset. To simulate a momentary push button, if you're going to right-click on the tag name and toggle bit, then I use a reset instruction. Once it's in the manual mode, it clears that first button. Same thing with the rest of them. And here's an example of what it looks like. If you right-click on HMI request manual mode push button and you toggle the value, it requires 2 toggle Boolean values to simulate a momentary push button. One to turn it on, second to turn it off. Now, if you don't want to use these resets or unlatches, you just have to remember that those are push buttons, HMI push buttons. It's a touch screen, or it could be a mechanical push button, but it's momentary. You push the button, it goes into the manual mode, and the button goes back off, and it's seal-in logic. I modified the operator control a little bit. I removed the reset or unlatches that clear the simulated momentary push buttons. I also eliminated a bit OK to start, because OK to start and all axes homed were really the same thing. Where it was in the condition to request the auto mode, I replaced it with all axes homed. Okay, manual operation. The operator from the HMI needs to be able to jog or operate all of the outputs in a manual mode for setup and adjustment. Also, when you are commissioning a project, to test the outputs to make sure that they're all correctly wired, you would use this same logic. I start out with 1 rung for each output, and I have 2 conditions in parallel, manual mode and auto mode. This is not how it would function, though. This is just the skeleton. So to this, we're going to add more logic now for the manual mode, and later from sequence we'll add it to the auto mode. To the outputs, we have a skeleton rung that has true if on manual mode or true if on auto mode for all the outputs. To this basic framework for the outputs, we're going to add in our conditions or permissives for manual mode. One of them, of course, is an HMI button that says to operate that output. For the first rung there, if you're in the manual mode and you select HMI retract gantry 1 push button, that's the first condition. The second one is that it cannot already be retracted. There's no reason to energize the solenoid to retract gantry 1 if gantry 1 is already retracted. You don't have to have that true if off input 4 in the logic. That's just a way to eliminate excess operation of the solenoid. But the next one you do, because if you think about your process, you don't want to retract or extend the gantry if the pick and place is extended, because you may collide with something dragging the pick and place in an extended position along the path. We put in that we require that to retract or extend gantry 1, the pick and place 1 has to be retracted. And then in the second rung, we have another condition, is that we don't want to extend gantry 1 if gantry 2 is extended. Because remember, gantry 1 and gantry 2, in the extended position, their vertical axes, the pick and place, is going to occupy the same space over the workspace. Now, I didn't mention it, but for the sake of safety, the 2 gantries in the retract position are over the conveyors. That way, when you do the homing and you retract both gantries, they aren't going to the same position. They're going away from each other. Then in the third rung, in order to retract the pick and place axes, we want the gantry to be either in the retracted or the extended mode. Now, that's not as necessary as to extend in the fourth rung. To extend the pick and place solenoid, we want to make sure that there is space below it, either over the workspace or over the conveyor. And keep in mind that even if there's an object on the conveyor, the adjustment mechanically is such that the gripper or suction cup on pick and place 1 is not going to go down and run into a part or a carton because the height accommodates that. And then for the capture pick and place solenoid in rung 5, there are no conditions. And then we have the feed conveyor. The 3 conveyors these are actually jog buttons. I don't have jog, I just have forward and reverse. But basically they would jog the motor. And gantry 2 has the same logic as gantry 1 for retract, extend, gantry 2, retract, extend, pick and place 2, and capturing whatever is there at the extended point of the pick and place. This is the manual operation of this process. And a quick plug, our manuals, we have 8 volumes of hands-on lab projects, over 2,500 pages, 2 for the older platform, Slick 500, Micrologics, and then we have 3 for Studio RS Logix 5000. We have an ignition manual. It's specifically a project to create an HMI, machine level HMI, using this SCADA software. And then we have 3 volumes for Connected Components Workbench with the Micro 800. The third volume primarily being for the Micro 800 Panel View and PowerFlex 525. We also sell kits, digital and analog field device simulators, and we do on-site training at the customer's classroom. That's where we're going to stop this video. In the third part of this project, we're going to start working on the sequence. Besides the sequence, we also have some simulation code that we can use in the situation where you don't have any hardware, but you want to simulate your hardware. Thank you for watching.